Hello everyone, welcome to Colladucate once again. So in short snaps, we'll be looking at one of the news of the day, which came in recently a few hours ago. So it is about UN warning the Asia Pacific region on its achievement of Sustainable Development Goals. आइए जानते हैं पूरी खबर को. So UN has actually warned the Asia Pacific region on its laxity in achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. इस पूरे डिस्कशन को शुरू करने से पहले we'll try and tell you what actually are the Sustainable Development Goals. So Sustainable Development Goals are actually known as the global goals, which are a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity. So in a way, sustainable development goals वो goals हैं which were made with an objective to end poverty and also ensure at the same time the protection of the planet so that every person enjoy peace and prosperity in this world. So, in terms of the numbers of sustainable development goals, these are 17 in number, and these are actually built or an extension of the success of the Millennium Development Goals. So, in a way, it also includes alongside the Millennium Development Goals new areas which are the climate change, economic inequality, innovation, sustainable consumption, peace and justice, among other priority areas. The Sustainable Development Goals work in the spirit of partnership and pragmatism to make the right choices on how to improve the life in a way that really helps the future generations also live in a very sustainable way. So it not only focuses on the present needs of the generations, it also focuses on how the future generations would need the resources in the future world. They provide the clear guidelines and targets for all the countries to be achieved and adopted in accordance with their own priorities and environmental challenges that are there in today's world at large. So actually, the SDGs came into effect in January 2016 during one of the UNDP summits, United Nations Development Program summits, and they will actually continue to guide the UNDP policy and funding until 2030. So the target year for the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals has been fixed as 2030, and you can also remember that UNDP, the United Nations Development Program Agency, has been given the authority of being the sole supervisor of this whole process of this whole objective or the mission. So let us have a look at the list of the Sustainable Development Goals. They are 17 in number again. So the first one is on poverty. There should not be any sort of poverty anywhere in the world. The second one is on zero hunger. Third one is on good health and well-being. Fourth is on quality education. This is the most talked about sustainable development goal because it is always in the news every week. You can read any of the newspapers and you will actually find this particular sustainable development goal being talked about. Fifth one is on gender equality. Sixth is on clean water and sanitation. Seventh is on affordable and clean energy. Eighth is on decent work and economic growth. Ninth is on industry innovation and infrastructure. 10th is on reduce inequalities. 11th is on sustainable cities and communities. 12th is on responsible consumption and production. 13th is on climate action. 14th is on life below water. Life on land is the 15th one. Peace, justice, and strong institutions is the 16th one. And last is the partnership for the goals. So these are all the sustainable development goals which have been focused by the UNDP and the United Nations organization to be achieved by 2030. Now, what is actually the news about? आज क्या ऐसा हुआ कि the Sustainable Development Goals have come into the news urgently. So one of the officials of UN actually has made a very unique observations about its achievement in the Asia Pacific region. Let us have a brief look at what he's observing in terms of its achievement in the Asia Pacific region. So according to him, the Asia Pacific region is on track to meet only one of the 17 sustainable development goals by 2030. So उनके हिसाब से बहुत बुरी हालत है एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन की to achieve the sustainable development goals. He is not at all optimistic कि एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन इन गोल्स को अचीव कर पाएगा. उनके हिसाब से they will be able to achieve only one of the 17 sustainable development goals. We'll look at what this particular goal is. And he also warned at the same time saying that the global achievement of these goals by 2030 would actually be highly reliant on the India's performance. तो उन्होंने बहुत बड़ी बात कही है ये इंडिया के बारे में कि जितना भी एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन में इस पर्टिकुलर सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल की अचीवमेंट को पूरा करने के लिए चाहिए होगा, उसमें बहुत लार्ज क्रिटिकल फैक्टर इंडिया की परफॉर्मेंस भी होगी. सो as we all know, India is one of the most critical, countries in the whole of the Asia Pacific region. So, according to UN official also, the whole performance would actually be highly reliant on India's performance. Now, let us look at what particular SDG he's talking about. He's talking about the SDG on education, which is SDG 4. So he's saying that by 2030, the Asia Pacific region will only be able to achieve this particular SDG, leaving apart the other 16 SDGs. The UN official also emphasized that the success in the SDGs will, in large part, depend on its success in India again. So he's talking about India as the main pivotal point, main focal point of achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals in whole of the Asia Pacific region. Next, he also raised concern over the region moving backwards, in terms of the parameters of inequality, besides also emerging as the digital divide between the countries. So he's saying the region, the whole Asia Pacific region, is actually moving backwards, not going forwards. And on parameters of inequality, he believes it has really, bamboozled. It has really grown backwards in terms of the parameters of inequality, and there is a very huge emerging digital divide within and between the countries. So वो ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन में जितनी भी कंट्रीज हैं उनके बीच में बहुत बड़ा डिजिटल डिवाइड क्रिएट हो चुका है, which is one of the factors of the inequality, because the technology in each of the nation is very different. Some nations are going very forward in terms of the technology, usage of technology, access to technology, लेकिन बहुत सारे ऐसे nations भी रहे हैं जो backwards move कर रहे हैं उसमें. So the region is actually becoming more unequal. No countries, can actually claim that they are 100% on the track to meet the SDGs just yet. So this is one of the failures which he believes of the Asia Pacific region policy reforms. Ki no country can actually claim that they are right on the track to achieve the SDGs by 2030. He also, alongside noted that the inequality in the region is not just in terms of the income and wealth, but also in terms of the access to the vital services like education, health, social protection, environmental degradation, and impact of disasters. उनका ये कहना है कि not only in terms of the income and wealth inequality, ये सारे nations एशिया पैसिफिक रीजन के डिफर नहीं करते सिर्फ इनकम और वेल्थ के टर्म्स में, but they also differ in terms of access to people to vital services in their nations. Now, referring specifically to the SDG on access to affordable and clean energy, he said that while in the past 20 years, access to energy has increased, access to clean fuel has increased, but at the same time, in the whole of the Asia Pacific region, still about 2.2 billion people are still cooking the food with the traditional biomass fuel, and majority of these people actually live in the developing nations of China and India. So this is not at all a very good thing to know about, because India is really focusing about increasing the access to energy, access to clean energy, actually specifically. So this is not at all a very good observation which he has come about. Even in terms of access to the affordable clean energy has really increased in the past 20 years, past 2 decades. Still, there are lots of people in these developing nations like China and India where people are still cooking the food with the traditional biomass fuel. So that is not at all good. Now, looking at the next observation, he at the same time also lauded India's efforts towards increasing the renewable energy component in the overall energy mix. As you must be aware, if you are not new to the competitive exam preparation, you must be knowing that India has actually fixed a target of 175 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2022, and out of that component, 100 gigawatts is to be fulfilled by the solar power. So in terms of fulfilling the target of renewable energy, India has really bulked up its preparation for increasing the renewable energy in the total component of the increase of the whole of energy in the country. He also emphasized that the region needs an investment of $1.7 billion to achieve universal access to energy. It's not an extraordinary investment that is needed, but even this extraordinary investment is not at all happening right now. So in terms of the investment also, the nations of the Asia Pacific region or even the whole of the world are lacking in terms of their achievement and the kind of investment which is required to achieve these sustainable development goals by 2030. He said that the regions need to invest in overcoming this particular investment problem, and at the same time, the investment should also happen in these particular sectors like education, healthcare, reducing the vulnerability of various populations, and those that constantly get dragged back into poverty after each financial crisis happen in these nations. Uh, this is one of the really very good points he has made about the Asia Pacific region. He's saying that the economic growth alone cannot, really solve your problem of not being able to achieve and not being able to be on the track to achieve the sustainable development goals by 2030. Economic growth cannot be a sole criterion. There are lots of other factors which need to be raked in, to achieve the sustainable development goals objective by 2030. Investments are needed to be bulked up, and everything apart from the investments also need to be bulked up. You need to build the social safeguards also, and at the same time a resilience should also be built, which can ultimately guarantee you the sustainable development goal success. So these are all the whole observations which he has made about the Asia Pacific region. Lots of observations are not at all good for the Asia Pacific region. He's saying कि Asia Pacific region really cannot, achieve any target apart from one of the targets which is SDG 4 on education. So the Asia Pacific region needs to do very good in terms of the upcoming 10 to 11, 12 years to achieve the sustainable development goals. This can only be made possible with the policy reforms which can be, put in by every nation of this particular region. So guys, this is all that we wanted to discuss with you for today. This is one of the very important news. This can really come in every one of your competitive exam, because sustainable development goals is a topic which as such has really been asked in the past also, although it is not that old in terms of the topic. It was being introduced in January 2016 in one of the UNDP summits, but still the sustainable development goals are hugely important for your competitive examinations. So that is all on the sustainable development goals. Now, we'll also request you to stay tuned with us with the help of colladucate@gmail.com. In case of any of your queries, you can just write a mail to us. You can also like our page on Facebook with the name of Colladucate. You can get a lots of really good stuff we'll be sharing in the upcoming days on the competitive examinations. And also, please, we'll request you again to like and subscribe our YouTube channel to stay tuned to all such analysis that we do for you daily. We'll try and cover all the important topics that happen on that particular day and really bring to you in a 10-12 minute video, short video, so that you can just have a brief, recurring of the whole prospect. So that is all that we wanted to discuss with all of you. The PDF of this particular file will be shared with the video. You can just download it from there. Thank you very much, guys, for listening to us. Thank you.